Random Review continues its look at the brand new revamped Machine Robo toy line out of Japan, and we continue with the second offering from the first wave, Battle Robo, or otherwise known in the GoBots line as Tank. Well, nobody really ever accused the GoBots of having creative names, did they? Did they? I genuinely don't know. Did anyone ever say that? Find them. Punish them. We are here to look at the Japanese version, though, so we will judge it as such. It is specifically based on the Revenge of Kronos anime. So we're going to look at it in different eyes. And the eyes show us that this is a bizarre-looking tank. It's a little bit Metal Slug. It's much more vertical than horizontal or lengthwise like you would expect a tank to be. But nevertheless, it is definitely an interesting design. It's a little bright blue cube of death, and I kind of dig it. There's kind of a weird charm to this very alien big. This is the kind of thing I would describe as Cybertronian, but that would be a huge faux pas. I can't even call it Gobotronian. Is that even the thing? I don't know. Whatever. It's a neat little tank. Definitely unique. So, overall, let's see how it came out. Of course, a lot of baby blues. Some painted, some molded, and it's going to be a little bit easier to tell once we get to robot mode. We do have some white here along the back, as well as very classic and retro looking detail painted on through the sides. The same yellow and red can be found in the front. Up top, we have translucent plastic in the windshield, which does have a lot of tech detail underneath, which is quite cool. We also have this nice machine silver doing all the armor, all the armaments on this toy in general, really, aside from the big turret and guns on top. Little guns up front. Heavily armed little guy, isn't he? You also have a darker gray, which is being used up here. You have what seem to be tail lights done up in a translucent green, strangely enough, as well as a little bit darker gray here, and of course the treads on the undersides. All pretty heavily detailed, by the way. The detailing and the molding here itself is pretty simple. You don't really have a whole lot going on aside from what's inside the cockpit, and you do have quite a bit in the turret, but for the most part, he keeps it pretty smooth, and I think it works out that way. He looks kind of cool, and I will say, extremely solid. I mean, around here, there's a few gaps, but nothing that shows that there's a robot inside. You look on the underside, it's completely flat all the way around. Like, this is just a big cube of blue, and it is actually kind of deceptive that it would even transform. But transform it does, and we need to see that in action. First off, we need to get rid of this turret, which can stick sometimes, but hey, didn't that time. That's what's important. We're going to start by flipping these parts out, which are going to form the feet. More importantly, it allows us to, I'll disconnect all of this in here. It allows everything to rotate up, and then we get the legs out. Now these are going to get stuck. This little side panels that will be the hip armor, it's going to get stuck on these little tabs, so you do need to flex a little bit in order to get past them, but it's nothing too damaging. Now, on the original GoBot toy, this would be pretty much over. The original tank kind of transformed by folding himself in half, but here we do have a much more extensive process. I'm going to rotate these feet around, then close it up. If you do it the other way, you don't have the clearance to get them rotated around. Closed up like that. That's very Masterpiece. That kind of reminds me of tricks that like Sideswipe and a few other Masterpiece toys did. A lot of modern Transformers do those kind of tricks too. I'm going to rotate the guns in right here, and then rotate all of this out. It's kind of pegged together, so a little bit of a firm tug to get those separated out. Now, the rest of this is pretty simple, so I'll tell you that this toy itself, and it actually tells you on the packaging, which I think is cool, was actually designed by Jizai Toys, which you'll know is a third-party Transformer producer, who actually made a name for himself by making official third-party toys that were licensed for one day and one day only at Japanese convention. That's actually kind of awesome. The weird world that is Japanese toy licensing. The guns now form pegs that have to make it into these tiny little holes on the back, which you can see a little bit better if I rotate the tank turret out. So let's close them up and make sure we got it lined up. Do we have it lined up? No, not quite, apparently. It's a little precise. There's not a whole lot helping you, so it's a kind of a feeling out process. But once it's in, you can find our battle robo is pretty much done. I'll straighten him up a little bit more so you can see how he looks when he is in his full robot mode. Battle robo is looking pretty freaking awesome. That bright blue is washing out a lot on my viewfinder, so I hope the final footage is a little bit better. I actually had to move the lights just to make sure it didn't get washed out. But now that we see him, he is a big and blocky guy. He is a big chunk of robot, and he hits that aesthetic I really like really, really well. Yeah, I did another review recently where I kind of complained about toys looking blocky, but that's when you hit too many like hard 90-degree angles. Here, everything is smoothed off around the edges, and everything is kept a little bit more interesting in the detailing. So it doesn't. He's made a nice solid chunks, but he doesn't have that like that super block like I'm made of Legos look. So that's what I'm going for a little bit more, and he pulls that off exceptionally well. Taking a look at his robot mode head, very triangular. It's a little bit strange. Aside from being like, well, it's accurate to the original toy and how he looked in the anime, but also it kind of reminds me of like the pyramid head that the TJOmega had. Kind of reminds me of that hat look a little bit. It's definitely unique. I will give him that. I do like the green visor eyes too. That's a little bit interesting. So yeah. Everything's nice here. I don't mind the head at all. Does a good job. This light blue is probably not a typical one, typical color for a big battle-hardened warrior who turns into a tank, but somehow it works. It's a nice color on him. Decoed all over by white paint. Forearms, shoulders, knees, quite a bit of it all over. And you can also see that very 80s style of red and yellow, running wild all over his chest and legs, which does work out pretty well. I do really like the look of this guy. So he does have some more molding I can show you. It's mostly there from vehicle mode, but you can see extra paint there in the toes just to make some mechanical detailing stand out. That's special. Some more in the midsection for a little added detail. And hey, now I guess flashlights. Laser cannons, make up your own. It's your toy. Use your imagination. Plus over-the-shoulder guns that are fully adjustable. That's excellent. I do like how much range is in the guns, aside from just being a big turret, the fact it rotates around, the fact that all this works out, and the fact that the gun turret itself can actually lift up and down. Oh wait, I didn't show that? Well, let's fix that now. So yeah, he does also have this thing, which he can Megatron onto his arm, either arm, but we're going to go for the right. So he does have some accessory and a big arm cannon. You can make it a hand weapon too, but hey, we have peg holes on the forearms. Let's use them. So he does have that going for him, and like I said, it is completely adjustable as well. That's cool. I like shoulder cannons, I like arm cannons, so this guy hits a lot of good points for me. So let's go into the articulation realm. The head rotates due to a little bit of clever engineering. Now, if you look at it from the wrong side, it gets a little bit weird, but it does, from other angles, perfectly work out to allow him to look in different directions without breaking up that whole I have a pyramid for a head look thing that he has going on. Shoulders, you can raise his arms up on that hinge and it still looks fine, so no problem there, but you can also raise them up there. You have the option. The option is good. Bicep rotation, which unfortunately only works when it's lined up 90 degrees to the universal joint in there. If it's inside the shoulder guard, it does not rotate. So that does limit you a little bit. However, he does make up for it. Very good elbow bend. And he does have that kind of faux elbow connection, so it doesn't just look like it's floating there. That's good. He does have ball joints in the wrists as well, so he can, adjust and rotate them. That's good. Like that. Waist rotation down here below the waistline. ball joints in the hips with great range, and skirts armor that does get out of the way to a significant degree. He makes up a little bit for rod drills faults in there. You have a knee that goes to the 90, and then you have a very nice rocking foot with the ball joint, and a natural slant to the back end, to his heel. So you also have that nice natural, more natural anyway, slightly open-legged stance. So he does have quite a bit of articulation to him. And he does keep his die-cast in pretty much the same spots as rod drill. It's here in the legs and it's here in the chest. You can see a slight variation in the blue paint from the blue plastic it is connected to. So there is that. If you notice it, you probably won't. But it does allow him to get a more secure set of poses. He is very well balanced. He does make for a very, very awesome toy to pose and play with. So, that's the toy itself, but like I said in the last review, all these guys come with modular stages that have been quite fun for me to play with. And we've gone with a different configuration this time. I've gone with more of a repair bay look that I'll take you over, just in case you didn't see the last review. It is made with 2 panels for the floor, a bridge that can connect to these 3 ratcheted joints, which are exceedingly tight and secure. You also have all these pegs and hooks around the sides so it can connect to any other panels and from any other figures you might have. You have 2 support beams that can be used as repair arms or add struts to shore up any other details you have. And then 4 full extension pieces that can be used to create backdrops or connect them together or start towering them up if you want to. They've come with a lot of different configurations. As you can see now, it can lay lengthwise across the base, and it has special pegs and slots just for that. And then it has others to interconnect to the other struts and supports. So everything kind of fits together, and I find them to be quite universal and quite modular as well. So we'll go ahead and park Battle Robo in there. We will assume it's repair time for the big guy. So that's your total package as far as Battle Robo goes. Well, aside from the little piece that does allow you to use this as a display base as well, should you choose to do so. Again, these things do run a little bit more expensive than I would like. This guy, for his size, and might as well bring a Clocker back in just to keep the size comparisons universal. You can see he is quite a bit bigger, and he is heftier than Clocker. He clocks in, no pun intended, about $5 more expensive than Grind Rod, around the $45 range. Grind Rod? Rod Drill. I'm getting my rods confused. It doesn't happen often. Be surprised, it does happen every now and then. But for what this figure is, I do find the engineering to be exceptionally good. The feel of the robot is on point. The deco is really nice. The detailing is there. It's a very unique little robot with a really cool and interesting transformation. There's some tricks to him that feel very much like the old machine Robos, but also some modern engineering and modern Transformer-esque engineering to him that really makes him a complete and total package. I do find the value in this toy overall. So that, my friends, is the GoBot formerly known as Tank, now once again known as Battle Robo. I can't really fault this toy in any way. The one fault I might have is he doesn't roll in tank mode. Doesn't even have fake wheels on these things. They're ball jointed. They can do that. They can go up hills and do that, but yeah, he doesn't roll. But beyond that, he transforms great. He looks great in both modes. He comes with a really cool base. So he does get some pretty high marks from me. But there's one left that came out in the first wave, aside from the Bike Robo that everyone wanted and inevitably got delayed. I think this one, and I think it seems to get some of the highest praise. It's either him or Battle Robo. I tend to find this guy is my favorite, but next time we'll take a look at the last in the set of 3, and maybe this one will look a little bit more familiar to you.